The Joe Rogan Experience.
What did that one doctor in the corner say about...
Well, what did he say about the results?
I presented to him 459 guys who had a 78% improvement in a year. Okay, that was our 2019.
In comparison to what is...
No improvement.
Yeah.
No improvement.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a long presentation. They only gave me like 20 minutes. It was a 3-hour lecture I put into 20 minutes.
20 minutes for you is like a couple of blinks for the average person. Like,
but it was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one guy said he appreciates, what did he say? He was sitting closer to him.
He appreciated your willingness to work with people who needed help, but he didn't believe a word you said.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And there were like 4 or 5 docs that did that. But that's fine.
Did you call them out on their motivations?
At the end, I basically said to my colleagues across the aisle or across the pond that if they continue on the paradigm that they're working, they're going to have as many suicides as we have in the United States because there was no rationale. It was a psychiatrist. What's the scientific evidence a psychiatrist used before he puts you on, not you, but puts a person on antidepressants? What's the science?
There's none.
What's the objective science?
You feel bad.
It's his perception.
Yes, exactly.
Here we have hard, objective, reproducible, clinical data. So I presented 459 cases, filleted out into age groups, into what percentage of the people did best. Our failures, we have failures. Our failures are 24 people out of 459 were due to their being on medication that blocked our treatment. There's certain medications we've learned.
What medications?
One called gabapentin. It interrupts GABA, which is extremely important for sleep. So it substitutes in. Did they put you on gabapentin? No.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so I didn't go in.
What's the benefit of gabapentin?
For pain and for sleep, for chronic pain and sleep. That's what they're using it for.
But the Surgeon General loved what he heard, and we actually won him over.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this big study in Birmingham, England, over 4 years.
So the Surgeon General loved it.
Yeah.
And who didn't?
The people who had control of the military project at Imperial College.
The scientific advisors.
The scientific advisors. Because
you just threw a monkey wrench into all of their work.
Yeah. When his name is Colonel Tim Hodgetts.
That's
he
the guy
stood
who had
up.
the problem?
Pardon?
That's the guy who had the problem?
No, he loved what he's
this
the one.
Is the Surgeon General.
He's the Surgeon General designated him to talk. Reed, Alistair Reed was the Surgeon General.
Shout out to Alistair Reed.
Yeah. So
he feels like truth.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah. So
shut those guys. Like he came in, shut them up, and said, "We're doing this. We're doing it in Birmingham."
Really?
So what I promoted to do is.
It's since got shut down. They shut us down.
Yeah, they shut us down.
Why'd they shut you down?
They came back afterwards, the advisors, and worked however they worked it, and got them to agree that we shouldn't do this.
They didn't want someone from the Americas coming over.
Isn't that always the case in a movie, where you have these like stiff British intellectuals who just don't buy all this new research? And they do whatever they can to stop it.
Except this really happened.
Yeah,
like we were in real time. Yes.
Yeah. Do you know the story
It's hilarious when those kind of stereotypes.
Do you know the story of Igor? What is his name? He was just dropped his last name. Anyway, he was at the first OB hospital in Austria, and Zimmelweis is his last name. Zimmelweis. He was a obstetrician, gynecologist. And during that time, they would go from cadaver dissection into doing vaginal exams on these pregnant women getting ready to deliver. And they had a very high occurrence of what's called crib death, where they die because they didn't understand at that time, they didn't have Koch postulates, that they were transferring infectious agents from the cadaver.
What year was this?
The 1700s. They didn't wash their hands.
Right.
So Zimmelweis, what he did, he says, let's put lemon juice and lye together and we'll wash our hands. And he took a 20% death rate down to less than 1%. And he did a thesis on this and presented it to the first obstetrical gynecological hospital in Austria. And what they did was they refuted his results. Why? If they admitted that what he was doing, all it took was washing the hands, because what did they say during those times? It was God's will. it was God's will, the reason why the person died. And it was also admit that they were doing things wrong. They didn't want to acknowledge the fact that here's a guy that's an unknown guy. I'm unknown. I don't have credentials like these people we went up against. And he was able to solve the problem, but they refuted it. Okay, like Admiral Small from the British Admiralty. He's the one who treated the first nutritional illness called scurvy. But it took 50 years for the Admiralty to recognize it because they didn't want to believe it took. That's how they got the name limeys. They didn't, all you need is vitamin C in order to avoid scurvy. So the doctors.
That's where limeys comes from?
That's right. Go look it up.
Wow.
Yeah. It's in my book, my first book, Interventional Endocrinology. I talk about these cases because they talk about the paradigms and how difficult it is to get one generation of medical caregivers to change what they've been indoctrinated in and fixated on to something more modern that maybe solves a problem that they weren't, able to resolve. So it would be admitting that what I've been doing all this time has been wrong if I don't wash my hands.
Right.
And I can't take that heat because I become the culprit now. It wasn't God's will.
Right, and then you become responsible for all those deaths that occurred during your treatment.
That's right.
Ugh.
Yeah. And that's part of what I think is motivating a lot of the resistance there. The science is there.
We're seeing it stateside just as much.
Are you? It's ego, right? And then it's also influence from the pharmaceutical companies.
If I had a Harvard degree or if I had a Stanford, I had some of the other degrees behind my name instead of just MD, FUCK, what would happen is they might listen to me. One of the...
or you might have a different worldview.
Correct. I'd say, oh, screw it, right? Screw it. Let it be. One of our admirals, rear admirals that who's been with us for about 8 years, connected me with another admiral who got me to the Fort Detrick Army Medical Research and Development Group to share with them what we're doing. And they were interested in it, but they didn't understand it because they asked me, where's the antidepressants? Where are the anti-anxiety medications? They're looking for maintaining the status quo. The only way we're going to improve this is for people to open up and look at the science and say, I didn't know about this.
Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience for free only on Spotify. Watch back catalog JRE videos on Spotify, including clips. Easily, seamlessly switch between video and audio experience. On Spotify, you can listen to the JRE in the background while using other apps and can download episodes to save on data cost, all for free. Spotify is absolutely free. You don't have to have a premium account to watch new JRE episodes. You just need to search for the JRE on your Spotify app. Go to Spotify now to get this full episode of the Joe Rogan Experience.